May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So I am trying to make this whole week's podcast on Monday because on Tuesday, I'm going to be recording when we're leaving at, 8:30. And I'll probably be back at 4:35. And there'll be stuff to do, And then Wednesday, we're leaving at noon to go to Batu Karu, which is sort of a holy mountain, or it's thought of that way. And there's a really nice temple over there where I've never been. I'm looking forward to go. I've been on Batu Karu, but I think that temple was on the other side of the mountain. So where we were one time, we were on one side of it, because Katrinka won 2 nights for 2 there at Bali International Women's Association raffle, I think. These are nice places, very nice places, These are the sort of places you think of, oh, this is Bali. Most of our life, isn't stuff you see on postcards or on these travel articles and stuff, right? Nothing like it. But there's some of that. But the one where we were before, what was that called? I can't remember. It was an eco villa. And it was, higher up. It was cooler. And you could drink water out of the tap because they had like mountain water. It was really good. And here you have to have bottled water. But we about 7.5 years ago, we bought a water filter, a Nazava from Jordan, who's distributed thousands of them around Indonesia. I did a podcast with him, months ago. He's distributed thousands from donations, and he's sold thousands too. And he's just a distributor for Nazava. Nazava's Indonesian company. And it filters really well. You can filter muddy water through that thing. The only thing it doesn't get is heavy metals, but we don't have any heavy metals in our water here, or I hope we don't. And we have a big one, and we have a small one. And Katrinka's got to find out the place we're going, if we can drink their water out of the tap, because if we can, then we won't take the small one. But we'll take the small one. There's no need to buy water, and we don't want to use anybody's water that they have to buy. Might not have to there. We didn't on the other side, which, that was a nice place. And a little creek running through down below where our room was. It was pretty cold because it's up higher, or it's a little cool. But it was great. I went down there and got submerged in it and played around. It was pretty small, but that was fun. And then to go walking around, and meeting people and, woods and finding rice fields and whatever you come across. That's really great. And people are very easy to talk to, people in the country here. So the place we're going, if you want to look it up, it's called Bali Lush. We're going to be there 3 nights. She's a friend with the woman who owns it. There's no tourists here. Though there's some Indonesian tourists. She probably has some business from people who live here, mainly foreigners, I would say, but not entirely. No, not at all. And they're both involved with 12-step Zoom meetings, doing that, and so we got a good price for it. I'm always interested in how much things cost and comparing it. And I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with that, and I'm not. I find it interesting, and I love numbers, and I love comparing that. So I'm going to give you an idea of what it costs. So those 3 nights, including breakfast, and this will be a good breakfast. This will be, it'll be organic stuff and probably, homemade granola or whatever. Or if you will be able to get an Indonesian breakfast, which is like nasi goreng, which is fried rice with an egg and vegetables and stuff like that. And can get fried red rice, which is like brown rice. That's, and maybe even brown rice if they're super hip. So the cost of that, the basic cost, we'll have to buy dinner, whatever. The basic cost, I would say, is about what you'd pay for 1 night in a cheap hotel in America. So nice living here, I'll tell you. But it's cheaper, these places, because of COVID. We've gotten a half price at some places where they're very, very nice, where it's less than what you'd pay for a cheap hotel. All right, that's enough of that. Anyway, it's my birthday on Wednesday, so Katrinka makes a big deal out of those things, I mean, it's really birthday week for me, and same with her, It's, last night, it was, 4 or 5 days before my birthday, she said, "What's a special meal for your birthday?" I said, "Well, you can't do anything before my birthday. You mean it's pre-birthday special meal?" I said, "So we have pre-birthday celebration, we have birthday, and then we have post-birthday celebration, right?" She's really into stuff like that. And holidays or anything like that, she thinks everybody ought to get together, a family ought to get together. I think it's better not to. I think it's better just to visit people at a normal time when they have some spare time and they aren't busy. But anyway, different ways of looking at it there. Okay, so I'm going to read you a Shunryu Suzuki lecture excerpt here. This went up recently, but as I've complained before, there's no dates on these things. I'm reading it on my laptop because there's you can now do Instagram on a laptop or a desktop, so it says this is from the lecture given in 1967 on June 22nd. And it's B, so that's like during a session. B means 2 lectures that day. And they only did that during a session, a week of meditation. June 22nd, that's like a week, 10 days, about 10 days before we opened the first practice period. So he had to say, "When you have the subtlety to appreciate the slightest movement of wind, you can actually feel a cool wind through trees or small waves on a calm pond. So when you have this kind of power to appreciate some plainness, calmness, serenity, you will have the power to understand the whole universe through the slightest movement of reality. Whoa. You know, we're always chasing after stuff, right? Well, mainly we're chasing after our thoughts. We're just one thought leading in another, and then we're thinking about what we're going to do next. And we're just completely trapped in our thoughts. So many things, so many practices are trying to free us from being slaves to our thought. And our idea of self, which is just totally tied in to that. And assumptions. And, you know, greed, hate, and delusion. Delusion is just sort of like thought. Delusion is believing things. Delusion is believing our views, our firmly held views. But delusion comes in many, many forms. But so, you know, in meditation, in a life that incorporates the sort of meditation in life, meditation in action, as Trungpa would say, it can introduce us to a more subtle life. Like my beloved, I call her my second wife, Elizabeth Twomey. I lived with 8-9 years. We didn't get married. I married the other three. Liz told me that she heard Suzuki say, she lived on the ocean, and I lived with her on the ocean. A little more than half time there, about half time at the Zen Center, near the Zen Center, you know, or they're near Green Gulch, mainly near Green Gulch. She said that she heard Suzuki say, you know, if you listen carefully, you can hear the tide turn. Wow. Now, I've lived by the ocean a lot. I live by the ocean here, or a short walk. There we lived. I mean, we could see the ocean from our windows in the house. We could be down there in 2 minutes. We were up high, Agate Beach in Bolinas. But I have never heard the tide turn. That is really something. So that's rather wow. It's really getting down to fine tuning there, right? It's talking here about getting out of the way of what's happening around us, slowing down, being still in our movement even, and being able to appreciate, he says, the slightest movement of wind. So let's hear it again. When you have the subtlety to appreciate the slightest movement of wind, you can actually feel a cool wind through trees or small waves on a calm pond. So when you have this kind of power to appreciate some plainness, calmness, serenity, you will have the power to understand the whole universe through the slightest movement of reality. This has been a Cuke Audio mini podcast. I'm DC Puba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sonora with Doggy Bandita, Feline Cachita, and dear lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.